We've got Tom Fitton on the line with us. He's the president of Judicial Watch and author of the New York Times bestseller Clean House, that you can get now on Amazon. Judicialwatch.org is the website you can go to check out everything he's doing. And Tom, there's so many topics to get to today, and I know we have limited time, but let's start with Judicial Watch broke really what is the most shocking story of the week, probably much more shocking than the election result in Georgia. The National Security Council cannot hand over records related to the former National Security Advisor Susan Rice's surveillance of Americans because they've been moved to the Obama Presidential Library and may be sealed for as many as 5 years. I was actually shocked for once, and I'm really shocked. This is crazy.
Well, it shows you that even in the Trump White House organization, the National Security Council is just moving information and evidence that the seemingly public and the president would want out from right under his nose to the National Archives, the Obama Presidential Library, under the Presidential Records Act, when documents from the prior president get archived and cataloged and eventually made available, as you say, beginning 5 years or so after the president leaves office. But there are ways around that restricted access, and one of them is the president needs them, he can have them. And so the question now for the White House is whether they're going to get some records like these back. We had asked for the Rice unmasking records, the DNC hacking information that the White House may have had, and the so-called Russia collusion issue. And the National Security Council helpfully told us to go to the Obama Presidential Library, and they actually gave us the address and the email and the phone number of the library as well, which is, of course, a big help.
And Tom Fitton, why would the National Security Council do this? I'm just completely baffled by that.
Well, they would tell you that it's, when a new White House comes in and an old one goes out, the prior administration's records are archived. But did they tell the White House? The big question is, when did this take place? Did it take place on the last day of the Obama administration or during the Trump administration? And if it took place during the Trump administration, was anyone told that, look, we're sending these records away. Is there anything that you want to keep in terms of copies or original records for the use of this president? Because that's what the law allows for, and that's what I thought caution would have indicated. But evidently it wasn't done.
So the only way to reconcile this would be if President Trump himself specifically requests these documents.
Yeah, that's the easiest way. The other way is through subpoenas from a prosecutor who might be investigating unmasking. I don't think one exists right now. Special Counsel Mueller's doing it. It's a big secret. And then, of course, Congress can issue subpoenas. And then litigants who have reason to get records, both, in terms of civil lawsuits, can try to get subpoenas as well. And there are other things we're trying to think about in terms of seeing if we can get the records in the meantime.
Again, we have Tom Fitton on the line, president of Judicial Watch, one of the most important organizations out there. Another story, this is Senate Republicans are eyeing a possibility of seeking testimony from former Attorney General Loretta Lynch, and the testimony would be over possible wrongdoing with regards to the FBI's criminal investigation into Hillary Clinton. So the FBI which is, investigating Trump, actually could then potentially be investigating Barack Obama and Loretta Lynch for criminal investigation here. So what's the story on this one?
Well, it's long overdue. They were kind of forced into it by Comey's testimony, where he not only talked a little bit about that exchange, but more importantly said it was just the tip of the iceberg in terms of his concerns about what was going on in the Justice Department. And of course, his response was, well, if the Attorney General can't be trusted, I'll be the Attorney General and issue my ruling more or less through a press conference as to what Mrs. Clinton did wrong and why she shouldn't be prosecuted, aggrandizing onto himself power that he didn't have, and for which, in part, he was fired for doing. And so the investigation is long overdue. And frankly, I think the president ought to order the Justice Department to investigate that issue, or in terms of a criminal investigation, in terms of possible obstruction of justice, but in the least audit the prior handling by the Justice Department of the Clinton email matters and related issues and see if things were handled appropriately. There are three pending issues, or three issues with Mrs. Clinton that supposedly had been or are under investigation. One was the classified information mishandling issue, and that has been ended, as best I can tell. What has happened with the perjury investigation that was referred to by the Justice Department by Congress? What has happened to the numerous investigations reported on by FBI and U.S. attorneys into the foundation and the pay-to-play aspects? What's happening there? I think we deserve to know if it's still going on. If they aren't, we want to know why they were all shut down, and if the audit shows they were shut down for improper purposes, then they should be reopened.
All right, so we've got Tom Fitton on the line, and we're talking about a wide variety of stories, including the possibility of investigating Loretta Lynch and her attempts to influence the FBI's investigation, her attempts to influence FBI's investigations. And one thing I just said a moment ago, Tom Fitton, that I might have misspoke on, is I said that Trump was under investigation. Now, we don't really know if he's under investigation or not, do we? Everyone's saying something different on this. Do you know the truth?
Oh, I don't know what's going on. I think you can presume he's under investigation. I think you can presume the establishment types, the holdovers in the Justice Department and the FBI want to jail him and remove him from office, and if not, they'll go after his family. And so we should act accordingly in terms of preparing a defense and responding accordingly to the lawless attempts to remove him from office. Recall this investigation at the Washington Post is to be believed. The investigation into President Trump for obstruction began not with Mr. Mueller, but with Mr. Comey's buddies at the FBI, who initiated an obstruction of justice investigation after he was fired. So the corrupted leadership at the FBI under Mr. Comey, he left, but it was still his buddies, initiated a criminal investigation into the president for firing him. So only in Washington does an employment dispute turn into a special counsel investigation.